Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or afternoon for all those of after lunch. Um, I want to apologize again for being unable to be with you guys for a few days, but I will do my best to make it work for you. With that being said, I've got a little introduction for one class and then a little review for other classes, and this is your off the tee today. So my question is, I would like you to write on is, in your opinion, was the Emancipation Proclamation a perfect thing or a pointless thing? I'm going to go ahead and give you a few seconds to put that down and take care of that. If this is new information to you, then Mrs. Tilden will go ahead and let the video play out. If not, she's going to pause it right now. Now, if Mrs. Tilden has played this, then that means you guys, this is new information, so we're going to go ahead and move forward. In your opinion, was the Emancipation Proclamation a perfect thing or a pointless thing? Well, you wouldn't know the answer to that because we didn't get to it last class. The rest of you know this information. So, hopefully, this is going to be a good review for you. The Emancipation Proclamation happened after the Battle of Antietam, with the perceived victory that Lincoln took advantage of, based on the idea that the Confederates tried to invade the North and were turned back, and therefore he issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863. And remember, this is a time period when slavery was such a huge issue, and he wanted to make slavery be the only issue. And so he freed all the slaves in the areas of open rebellion, which again we talked about in all but first hour. I think this is new information for you. Everybody else, this is a review. But basically, this doesn't really matter to the South because they don't answer to Abraham Lincoln. So why did he do it? And that kind of comes to the idea of whether it was a pointless thing or a perfect thing. He had to use implied powers in order to make this happen. President just can't free slaves. And so remember, he used the idea of a military action. A president can take a military action. Therefore, in his eyes, messing with the economy of the South was a military action. And therefore, he was justified in making this happen. What it did is it created a two-purpose process for the war. Remember, before this, everybody, the whole thing was fighting for the preservation of the Union, and now it became about the liberation of slavery. So that was a pretty big deal to liberate the slaves, regardless of whether it was slaves that were freed in the North or freed in the South. It didn't matter. The idea was it made the war about the liberation of slaves, and so it inspired a lot of people. Now, he did face a lot of opposition. We talked about this last time with regard to, some people said, well, you didn't do anything. You didn't really free any slaves. All the slaves in the border states, they get to keep theirs. And he did that for, a reason as well. He didn't want to upset the balance of power there and make sure that they border states stayed with loyal to the Union and stayed with us. So the Republicans didn't think it went far enough. The Democrats too far. On the other side, there were a lot of people that were excited about this. It was a statement against slavery that we hadn't had before. Even Great Britain, who was making money on both sides, helping the British or helping the Confederates and the Union, they were a little split on the deal, but they haven't had slavery forever, so it seemed like a normal thing for them. But it redefined the war, and that's what I want you guys to get out of this. In my opinion, I think it was a perfect thing. It gave purpose to the war that otherwise people wouldn't go and fight for, and so it kind of became a perfect concept. And that being said, the African Americans were very eager to join the war effort, and in doing that, created an opportunity that had never happened before for the African American population, which was a chance to go and pick up a gun against their enslaved, the enslavers of their ancestors, and so that's kind of a big deal, inspiring a lot of them to join the military. And today we're going to focus our attention on the story of a specific group that redefined how African Americans would be perceived in the process of the Civil War, and pretty much in military combat as a whole. This gentleman's name is Robert Gould Shaw, and you're going to get a chance to meet him and see what he's about in the upcoming story. And really, the key thing I want you to understand is the Emancipation allowed African Americans to participate and enlist, and it gave them a reason to want to do that. There's no other reason why an African American would fight the Civil War unless it was to actually go and fight and um, defend their people that are in the South that they're connected to, that they want to get out of the South. So now they have purpose, which is pretty awesome. They weren't viewed as equals as soldiers. They were given horrible jobs and paid less money and really treated poorly. Just because there's a movement towards equality didn't mean that there wasn't still going to be racism and issues of anger and frustration and, still have problems with uh, seeing them as inferior. So anyway, you're going to kind of witness all that stuff today. But the most important group that redefined this whole process and created a sense of respect for African Americans in the war effort was the 54th of Massachusetts. And again, they're led by Colonel Shaw, and they achieved fame at the famous Battle of Fort Wagner. But it's their story that leads up to that I really want you guys to connect with. And remember what they risked. If they got caught and captured in a battle, they were killed. There was no way around it. They were killed. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the process and that you get a chance to experience a quality story and that you guys connect to it and really see the impact that these guys had on the Civil War and for future generations of African Americans in the military to come. Here will be your In the Hole for today. So again, I ask, in your opinion, was the Emancipation Proclamation a perfect thing or a pointless thing? And hopefully you get a sense of why that was important. Now, enjoy the film Glory. Now that you've seen Glory for the last few minutes, I hope that you get a chance to connect with these characters and that you feel like you're rooting for them, trying to understand what they went through and the struggles. But I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll finish it next time. But for You're in the Hole, which character from the film so far do you admire the most and why? I'll see you next time.